he's such a big star, and he's all of that, and because of Bahubali is why we are also being able to try these films so soon in our film industry. One of our last pickup shots, she was pregnant actually. There were 2 days where there's her actual child also acting in the film. Debut ho gaya. When I wrote Ashwadama, one thing for sure was I could only see him and nobody else. Maybe it was an Indian version of our Gandalf, and I could only see him, and only he could do justice because it required that depth and melancholy and that act. Once part 2 comes, people are already invested in our world. They're going to come in, even without a trailer, they're going to turn up on the first day. So we have to solve different problems in part 2.
Hello and welcome to ETimes. My name is Deepika Padukone, and today we have with us the man of the moment, Nag Ashwin. Sir, I will not ask you if you were expecting this box office result. I will not ask you if you were expecting people to love the film so much. I want to ask you, how deep a well are you digging to put all the money inside that the film is making right now?
That's what Ram Gopal Verma asked our producers. I'll have to ask them and get back to you.
Okay. On the release day, you actually put up a picture of your slippers, saying that, which said that, oh, we've come a long way. I hope you've now bought a new pair of chappals.
I have, as you can see, brand new. My aunt got them for me actually.
Aunt got you didn't go out.
I didn't. I thought I'll make a thing of it, but she just beat me to it.
Okay. Now, one question that has been on my mind ever since I've seen the film, and I've seen it thrice.
Oh, awesome.
And I've saw it once in IMAX, 2 in normal one. My first question which is on my mind is that why have you not shown me Lord Krishna's face?
Because I always felt that was one of the first things I was very sure about, that we shouldn't have something identifiable or like an actor or any sort of defining features of Krishna, because we're saying that's something beyond, like we're saying that's God, we're saying that's an avatar, and I thought that mystery or anything would only work if I don't see that person, and that's
because there is some talk saying that Nani is doing that role. I'm like, okay, I have no idea.
Because I think that it just go against the idea of the idea of an avatar, the idea of a god. Like otherwise, you'll just expect that person to be born again. Doesn't make sense. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you reinvented Mr. Bachchan at 81.
Wow.
As how I see it.
Okay.
So was he your hero when you were growing up? Because you belong to a different generation from what grew up on watching Mr. Bachchan's films.
Yeah, definitely. He's definitely a hero. Maybe I didn't grow up watching his films as obsessively as maybe a generation before mine. But he's definitely a massive hero. Grew up watching a lot of his films. And when I wrote Ashwadama, one thing for sure was I could only see him and nobody else. Maybe it was an Indian version of our Gandalf, and I could only see him, and only he could do justice because it required that depth and melancholy and that act, even that action. There was nobody who could pull off everything together, so I'm glad he agreed.
But did you tame down anything because he's 81? Did you tame down anything for him?
I mean, we worked around the safety and everything for sure, but he would give it everything. Like he would give it more than we asked for sometimes. Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Now, what kind of conversations did you have with PRABHAS once the film has released? Because at one point, PRABHAS has had a major hit, Bahubali, but then there has been a bit ups and downs, and then now this has been like nearly 400 crores in India at least, minimum at least. Yeah. So what conversation have you had with him post the release?
We spoke the day of the release, and he was extremely happy, and he's a very, very humble and very sorted person. Actually, he doesn't have that, I don't know, that star ego, so to speak. He was just like, I'm just so lucky to have had like such big films in my filmography and things like that, and it just makes me feel awkward because he's such a big star, and he's all of that, and because of Bahubali is why we are also being able to try these films so soon in our film industry. So yeah, so he's extremely happy. He's glad that this did what it did. He always believed in it, so I have to give him credit for that.
Okay. Now with Mr. Kamal Hassan, I know if you see his combined runtime in the film is short.
Yeah.
So how? So was it difficult to convince him, saying that, oh, in part 2 I have a much bigger role for you, but in part 1 I only need you for so much time?
Yeah. But that was the discussion from the get-go. And he was okay with it. Yeah, I think he did a great job. Even his 6-7 minutes, whatever it was amazing. Yeah.
As people would say, everyone has different opinion on the film, and you announce part 2 as the part 1 ended. Now, will you make changes depending on people have told you or seen of the film, that what they've liked, disliked, or you have a script ready that means I'm going to stick my guns out and I'm going to stick to what I have? What is it? How does someone make part 2 when obviously there's going to be a big gap between part 1 and part 2?
Right. I mean, we have a story, so we know what our story is. We'll obviously we'll just have to write and strengthen it a bit and all of that. But I think it's very different from the issues of what part 1 would have had. Part 1 was coming completely fresh off the rack. Like, nobody had any expectations from a sci-fi film. They didn't know what this was. They didn't know what sci-fi mytho was. They don't know what our world was, who Supreme Yaskin was. Nothing, right? So we had to spend a lot of time setting things up. We had that fear also, what if people don't understand? So maybe we spent a little more time setting things up. So all of those things were very specific to part 1, I feel. So once part 2 comes, people are already invested in our world. They're going to come in, even without a trailer, they're going to turn up on the first day. So I know that we have to solve different problems in part 2. Yeah.
Okay, now with the huge amount that the film has made at the box office, and everyone now saying Nag Ashwin is the visionary, Nag Ashwin is so and so, they're giving you adjectives and accolades for it. Will Nag Ashwin become a point wherein you might have to take yourself way too seriously to commit part 2?
I don't know. I don't think so, hopefully. But part 2 is the same story that I wrote. So it's not like I'm actually writing something new. So in that sense, I just have to go back to the original core thought that started all of this and always stay true to that. Like, because that was what gave me or the producers or the actors all the energy and the trust to make this film in the first place. So sticking true to that, hopefully just keeping that as a compass, we make part 2 and not get carried away with anything else.
Okay, I'm a big fan of Mahabharata. I think I've read 4 versions of it from 4 different point of views. I've seen Arjun's from Arjun, from Karan, from Draupadi, and from Ashwatthama's point of view as well.
As even Duryodhana's.
Also Duryodhana's point of view as well. Now, do you actually believe that Karan was superior than Arjun? That also has been my point of view for the longest time.
I always found it to be the most exciting sort of a confrontation, because I think the entire Mahabharata was about that confrontation. If you read it, it's always about when is he going to come onto the battlefield, when is Karan going to come onto the battlefield. For him to come on, all these people have to be vanquished, like. And then when it came on, it was the battle that the gods were waiting for, so to speak. So I mean, it wouldn't be that battle if they were not evenly matched. And even reading about their bows, like the Gandiva and Vijaya, that always gives me a huge kick, because the Vijaya is described as something that as long as you hold the Vijaya in your hand, you cannot be defeated.
Wow.
So when you have that bow, and like how is Gandiva superior than Vijaya? As long as it's in your hand. The only reason Karna lost was he had to put it down to lift his chariot wheel.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's beautiful. I love that. I love the lore. Yeah.
I love Mahabharata. I think I must have seen so many versions of it also on television by now.
Yeah.
But do you go back to watching Mahabharata? I mean,
reading it, like I have this one set of 10 books that I keep reading every once in a while. It's beautiful. Yeah.
Now, coming to Deepika's character, I think she's the only one who always needs someone's help to get her out of situations. Was that conscious decision? Because I think Deepika as a character is someone who's done action, who can do action.
Yeah.
So why not use that as...
I think everyone else is doing action.
Yeah.
I think everyone else is doing action. And Deepika also comes in the story from a point of view where she hasn't seen the outside world. She's sort of trapped. And even that little moment of courage or that action that she has to do to walk down that tunnel or to escape to save her child is the only amount of agency that she gets because it's so new to her. I don't know what else she could have done in this setup of things, because it felt like she was a fish out of water, and suddenly she fell into a much larger mythological story and game that she'd had no idea about. Like there's suddenly this 8 feet guy who is protecting her, there's this bounty hunter, there's this bunch of people in one hidden city calling her mother, like she has no idea what the hell is going on. So if she's looking confused in the film, I feel that's a very natural reaction. Yeah.
But you've assigned divinity to her, literally.
Yeah, and I feel that the fact that she doesn't know that or she doesn't accept that yet is also making her more human. Like she's not walking around saying, you know, I'm the mother of
Mother of God.
yeah, right. She's like, what is wrong with all you people? Is what she's saying, which still feels real to me.
But did she ever show up when she was pregnant, or she was pregnant much later?
Oh, she did actually in the end. One of our last pickup shots, she was pregnant actually.
Oh.
Yeah. So there were 2 days where there's her actual child also acting in the film.
Debut ho gaya bachche ka.
Debut ho gaya. Little do they know yet.
Okay. Now, I think you have a son, Rishi.
I do, yeah.
Yeah. No, I just got a very random idea in my head. I'm like, probably one day I'll see you and Rishi driving Bujji to drive him to school.
Yeah. I would love it. I'd love it. I'd get pulled over, but then the cops won't know how to confiscate the vehicle. It's the best.
But has he seen the film? How has he reacted?
He has. He's seen the film twice.
Wow.
And he hasn't reacted much, but the fact that he's seen it twice, I'm assuming he likes it. So.
But as a father, do you expect your son to tell you how it feels, or like
I'm
he
very
puts
curious,
it?
especially this film more than the others, because I feel I made it for myself as a kid, or like a younger audience, because their imaginations are more fertile or they're more open to things, and they're not just going to like a 10-year-old is not going to say this looks like Dune. He'll just watch it. He'll just watch it. He'll just have fun and he'll watch the film. I was very curious to see how he liked it, and he does have questions. He suddenly, just before he sleeps, he's asking is this guy more powerful or that guy more powerful? Is Yaskin more powerful? Or so it's that kind of basic questions, but I guess that's what he's thinking. Yeah.
That's a nice way to have to ignite the imagination as to where things can go from here. Okay, my last question to you is, so the part 1 ended with saying that Kalki cinematic universe. So do we have spin-offs as well in the mind at least?
Yeah, hypothetically, but nothing on paper.
Yeah, nothing on paper, but hypothetically, are you looking at?
I think because we had an animated series with 2 episodes, so there's scope for things like that to come out, like with just maybe a basic script from my side, maybe somebody else could take it forward, and there's a scope for stuff like that to happen. So
I think 2 more episodes are coming, if I'm not wrong.
2 more episodes are coming. Yeah, we have to get down to that. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
Thanks.